Yo, and they didn't listen. I took my foot off and it slammed the door on my thumb and it chopped my thumb off. And I just hear something. When I turn around, I see these dudes got guns and pulling. I'm trying to reach, thinking, and I get hit with a gun. So they start preaching, and I liked it, the music part. That felt good. But when they start preaching, and I see people get up, and they start danzando and talking in tongues, to me, I thought they were all doing santeria.
Dios les bendiga, mi gente. Bienvenidos una vez más a otro episodio de tu podcast, el testimonio favorito. Dios lo hizo. Bien agradecido. Yo sé que yo digo lo mismo todas las semanas, pero es que estoy agradecido. ¿Qué ustedes quieren que yo diga si estoy agradecido? No puedo decir otra cosa. Agradecido primeramente con Dios, porque ¿verdad? Él es el que nos da esta oportunidad de poder traerle a ustedes, ¿verdad? este podcast. Y agradecido con ustedes también que se dejan sentir, ¿verdad? Le tengo que dar gracias a todos y cada uno de ustedes que dejan comentarios no solamente en el canal de YouTube, sino también en nuestras redes sociales. Siempre hay gente que me escribe en Vladi, estamos siguiendo lo que estás haciendo, nos gusta, toda gloria a Dios, esto es de Él, no es de nosotros. Gente que me ven en la calle, Vladi, estamos viendo el podcast, gente que hace tiempo que yo no veo, gente que yo ni conozco o que los conozco pero nunca hemos hablado y se acercan, ¿verdad? Para dejarnos saber que están viendo los podcasts y le damos gracias al Señor porque ese es el propósito. Eso es todo lo que nosotros pedimos, que la gente los vean, ¿verdad? Y que Dios siga hablando a los corazones porque verdaderamente estos testimonios hablan de la gracia y la misericordia de Dios. Cuando usted se sienta aquí a ver este podcast y usted escucha a estas personas, ¿verdad? A veces usted está viendo el testimonio y quizás usted no entiende todo lo que está pasando en la vida de esa persona y a veces el prejuicio quizás llega rápidamente a su cabeza, pero siempre déle un break porque al final de estos testimonios usted se va a darle cuenta de que wow, esa persona pasó tanto, pero mira lo que Dios hizo. Y de eso que se trata este podcast. So, hoy, ya yo me voy a callar la boca, no completamente. Y les voy a presentar a mi invitado especial. Hoy otra vez vamos a darle con el inglés y tengo un anuncio que hacerle para aquellos que no saben. Yo sé que no todo el mundo habla inglés, pero yo les quiero recordar una cosa. Cuando usted ponga este video, no lo apague porque yo acabo de decir que es en inglés. Usted va a los settings de YouTube y en los settings de YouTube usted puede tener los subtítulos de inglés a español y también si lo quiere más, usted va allí a los settings y YouTube se lo traduce completamente. Suena como que es Will Smith y no es Bloody, pero es en inglés. Y usted lo va a escuchar y va a escuchar la historia completa de lo que está pasando aquí. So, ahora YouTube tiene ese setting y yo quiero dejarles saber porque muchas personas me escriben unos subtítulos hubieran sido perfectos. Están allí. Vaya a sus settings en YouTube y puede poner los subtítulos de inglés a español. Así que usted puede estar escuchando a mí hablan en inglés y lo puede estar leyendo en español. O, si no le gusta leerlo en español, lo puede poner donde se lo traduce completamente y usted puede escuchar palabra por palabra lo que yo estoy diciendo en español. Con eso dicho, les presento a mi invitado del día de hoy, Luis Vargas. God bless you, man. How are you doing?
God bless you. It's good. It's an honor. It's a privilege to be here today. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever God has in store.
I love it when they say they're nervous. I love it because every time somebody say, I'm nervous, I like it because that means they're going to go on. You're gonna go on. You see how we did that? We switched from Spanish to English real quick.
Yeah.
It was like, sí, aquí está Luis Vargas. How are you doing, man? God is great. God is great.
God is good, man.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for being here with us. You know, we were chatting a little bit before we got the cameras on. We were talking about it because we met a long time ago. A long time ago, and I used to see him, and he's probably gonna be like this guy. But we met a long time ago, and he translates for his church and for different churches. And I remember that every time we would meet, I see this guy being all bubbly and joyful with everybody. And every time he comes to me, the greeting was like very serious. Like he was like, "Oh, God bless you." Mm. And I used to think, I don't think he likes me. And then a couple months ago, we met again at a retreat, and it was like a different guy. Like I went to say hi, he was like a different guy. It was like we kicking, we spent so much time talking, and we spent the whole weekend kicking it together. And that's where God put us together and the idea came. So you can tell your testimony. I know you have an impacting testimony. And not only because what you went through, but what God did in your life, what God's still doing. So let's go. Where Luis come from?
Well, I was born in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in 1976. Born and raised here. I love my city. I moved like once or twice, and sometimes not by choice. But Lancaster's home, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. I was raised by my grandparents, you know what I mean? The day I was born, my grandparents took me from my mom, and I lived with them ever since, from day one. And, you know, it was rough because, you know, they didn't know how to read and write. They didn't know no English. They were poor. It was a broken home. My grandfather was an alcoholic. You know, my grandmom, she believed in Santeria and all that stuff. And she was a lady who went through a lot of abuse. So, you know, things that I didn't understand till later were passed on to me at an early age. You know, violence, the negative speaking, just, you know, that survival mode kicked in at an early age because I had to teach myself a lot of things. You know, I had to in school I do no help with homework because they couldn't read and write. I had to read their letters. I had to translate. Back then they didn't have translators, so I started translating when I was a kid.
That's how you became a translator when you was a kid.
When I was a kid, they would take me to the doctor's appointment, to welfare, to wherever they had to go, and I would translate everything for them. Ask a doctor, and they were like, "How old are you?"
Yeah, you got that skill early in life.
Yeah, so we started off. The thing with me everything started young, like, you know, seeing the violence. But the thing at a very young age, at 6 years old, I don't talk about this much before because I didn't think it was like blocked off. But at a young age, around 6, 7 years old, one of my babysitters, you know, sexually assaulted me or whatever you want to call the word.
Yeah.
And that opened doors for me that really impacted my life. The enemy started working at an early age in me. So, you know, I was impacted by that, very curious, and it opened doors, and I never understood it until I was older. So then on top of that, the enemy attacked me again when I was 8 years old. My aunt, she came to live with us because she was dying. She was only 22 years old, bloody. And in my mind,
What was she dying of, if you mind me asking?
they don't know to this day. You know, back then it was AIDS, it was cancer, it was a whole bunch of stuff.
Did she live like a wild? She was living a wild life.
No, she was a quiet lady, beautiful,
right.
man. Went from a gorgeous indiecita and to weigh like 80 pounds, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she died, and she was only 22. And you know, that stuck with me. I was thinking, and as I grew, I'm like, I'm gonna die young too. And I think that affected the decision making that I made in my life. You know what I mean? I don't know why I always had the fear of death. And but I didn't know God. I really didn't. You know, wasn't raised, you know, my mom said, you know how most Puerto Ricans, I believe in God, yo creo en Dios.
Yeah.
And you go to church on Christmas at a Catholic church.
With all the respect, everybody calls themselves Catholic because that's a way to at least, I'm something. I don't go nowhere, but I'm going to say I'm that because I believe there's a God. And that's what it is.
And it was crazy because they say that, but they would never go. But they would send us on Easter and Christmas. Mira, vete, tiene que ir. Que...
I did it. People with me, I'm Catholic. But you know, the thing is, I was baptized Catholic. You know what I mean? They took me to the church and they put water over my head. There's pictures. I saw the pictures. And I'm not gonna say I remember
No, I don't remember.
I'm not gonna say remember they baptized me, but I saw pictures.
I know I had the certificate.
So I used that. And even though my mom took me to the evangelical church all the time, when people would ask me when I was crazy, acting crazy, oh yeah, I'm Catholic. I was no Catholic. And if you would have asked me, I went to Misa a couple times, and I didn't know what was going on.
I always fell asleep. I was always bored. I didn't fit in. I couldn't relate. My cousin used to take me. He was older because he went to Catholic school. But at an early age, there was little seeds, even though I didn't go to church much and really didn't know. At a younger age, there was a pastor named Reverend Belton. He started a church. It's called Father, Son, and Holy Ghost on Howard Avenue. He started in his living room with chairs. And he would go through the neighborhood and ask if, hey, I could take your kids. And he would preach to us in his living room. I went like once or twice, and that stuck. And then I'll never forget this brother named Freddie. that's related to my sister. They took me to First Assembly of God, the first in Spanish, the only Assembly of God, the first one in Lancaster. They took me once or twice, and those little things, they stuck in there. But I never understood why I had this fascination of knowing who God was. Because at an early age, I wanted to. Because, like I said, my grandma she grew up and raised us with that Santeria and Catholic mixed together. Mm-hmm. And in my basement, there'll be like 20 santos.
Yeah, because it's always a mix. When it comes to Santeria, it's always a mix.
But something in me did. I was always scared of it. I knew it wasn't from God.
My grandma did it too, and I was the same way. I was scared of it.
Le tenía un miedo. I was so scared.
Chiquito, I was scared of it.
And I used to even tell her, like, I don't like that. When she would take me to the Botanica, I don't want to be here. And she's like, ¿Qué te pasa?
I used to get scared because my mom used to do the same. My mom used to take me to the Botanica, and there was a lady there. And you know what's crazy? As I just said this, God is my witness. I saw the face of that lady just in my head right now.
Yeah, I still remember her face.
Because she was like, because I remember my mom had this on and off relationship with God. And every time she would disconnect from God, she would run to the Santeria because her mom used to do it. And I remember my mom taking me to the Botanica in Puerto Rico. And I remember leaving me there in a little seat, and she would go through these curtains with that lady that had a tobacco in her hand.
Why did they always have the curtains, bro, in the Botanica?
Yeah, and they would took her, and my mom would come. And I remember my mom showering me with weird stuff and mata y cuestiones que huelían raro. I remember being a kid and being sick, and they putting me in the bathtub and putting this stuff over my head and hitting me with a mata, And I got like a very vain memory of that, but I know, because when you have a memory, but the memory is not only one thing about it. Then I remember being sitting in the side of a road, and my mom leaving me there while she would go, and I remember seeing the Hotel Botanica, what she was going to, a brujo, you know what I mean, doing crazy stuff like that. So I know, and I used to be scared that when she used to take me to the Botanica, it smelled weird.
I hated it. It was hers was.
There was pelones, all that crazy stuff.
No, she was deep with it. Like there was certain days. I think it would be Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe another day, but there'd be certain days for sure. Que ella hace lo que they would call a limpieza. Mm-hmm. They play the Chango. She played the cigar, turn on the incense, and that music. Every time that music came on, I used to like creep me out. I hated it. I'd be like, yo, mami, no me gusta eso. And she was like, ¿Qué te pasa? And every time that she'll go take me to the peritita, ¿A ellos le pasa que no le gusta la música? And this and that, you know what I mean? And they would do los baños, the baths.
Yeah, I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's funny the way you say it.
Yeah, I hate it.
So you was what age were you now when you felt like that attraction towards God stuff? You was like,
no, it was early. I'll never forget because I remember where the real changing point is. I think it was around 13. Estaba pasando unas cosas. And because I used to tell mom, since a young age, I used to feel stuff at night grab me.
Spirits, bro.
And choke me. And or stuff like push me down and I'd be scared, have
I've been there. That happens to me. And you can move. Oh my God.
A lot. And I was like, and for some reason, I know it had to be that it was a Holy Spirit. Now I don't, but I didn't know about prayer or nothing. But son would always tell me, say Jesus. And when I would finally get that name out, I'll be able to move. And but then my grandma she did me this. She got scared. Okay, he's having a spiritual, these demons. So here comes a piritita. She's doing her work on me. They put a red towel on me. I'm like 12, 13. And I couldn't move. They blew the cigar on me and I'm like, oh shoot, what is this? So I knew that stuff is real too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
so at a young age, you and I'm glad you're saying that because a lot of people don't always think about this. But at a young age, you was exposed to both sides of the spiritual atmosphere. You knew thanks to that pastor that would take you. You know what I mean, and all that. You knew that there was a God, and you felt attracted to that. But from your grandma's side, you was experimenting that dark side of the spiritual. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's a reality. That's how the spiritual atmosphere is. You know, you have God, but you also got the enemy.
And then you don't really know, you know they're both real. I don't know how God was real, but I knew he was real because this is real too. But I knew that wasn't the right way. Something in me told me this ain't the right way. So she does this, get this onto the list. She does this work, I'm stuck. And all of a sudden, they're screaming. Look at the demon, look at this and that came out of him. But Bloody, I'm going to tell you something. She thought she was taking demons out. And that day I realized is when they really entered. That's the day I started becoming rebellious. I was a straight A student. You know.
So from that moment on, your life started changing.
I start changing.
I'm glad you're telling me that because that's nobody ever before have put it like that. You know what I mean? Like
it took me a
that
while.
That turned everything around.
It turned everything around because I went from this innocent, you know, kids are kids. I grew up in a neighborhood where you had to fight. We play fight and stuff, but I was real quiet. So even the kids at school were confused because, you know, at school, you see me, I'm quiet, I'm a nerd. I get good grades. I bug out. I like to laugh and all that. But when they did that, then something in me started to change for the worse. Now I want to smoke weed. I start cutting school. I'm really mad about being poor. Like, mad. You know, because I grew up poor. They didn't read and write. There was no money. So I get the little Kmart clothes, the fake leather bombers, them Jones. We call them the pleather. ¿Tú le ponías?
Tocaba con la plancha and
that is over.
They'll catch on fire. You touch that way. You go to somebody's house and they got the heater too high and you get close. You caught them fire.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, them Jones were light like nothing, man.
So what happened to you? What happened to your jacket?
It was so bad. It was so bad that my dad, they used to buy. I hated the coat so bad. When I go to school, I'll take it off. I'll rather freeze. They're like, yo, you ain't cold? I'll be fronting. Nah, I'm good, yo. I'm good. But there's some days I had to wear I couldn't take it. I'm like, dang, But that led me to start selling drugs at an early age. My aunt, the one that I'm taking care of now, is who I first smoked with and started selling weed at an early age. And that life attracted me. I didn't want to go to school no more. I wanted to hang out more. I wanted to chase money because now I can buy nice clothes, nice sneakers. I felt a little more confident to talk to girls. You know what I mean? And I was caught up. I was really caught up in that world. But there was still God, you know, there was. And then I think when I was like 14 or 15, I call her Titi Alea. She started serving God. And I'll never forget, me and my cousin Macho, we went to church with her that day, but we smoked right before we went to the service, right? And bro, I freaked out. I never been to a Pentecostal church, you know? So I go in.
I open my eyes wide because I can't relate because I've been there, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's shocking. If you go in that condition to a church,
bro,
until the Holy Spirit touches you, you're going to be, you in for a treat.
Yeah, because, you know, it's crazy that I go in and we sitting and they start preaching. Yo, this is like vivid. It's one of the most, it was, you know how you say culture shock? I was in for the greatest culture shock of my life. So they start preaching and I liked it, the music part, that felt good. But when they start preaching and I see people get up and they start danzando and talking in tongues, to me, I thought they were all doing Santeria. Because the same thing that people were doing, that's what my mom and grandma would do when they were doing Santeria. Because the devil imitates the things of God.
Yes.
I would see my mom like this, saying that, how they yo danzan. My mom would do that. When she was messing with her indio and they would grab her to the point where, and she's screaming to my grandma, help me, he don't want to let me go. So I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, shoot. I thought this was church. They all do Santeria here. I was trying. Y'all wanted to run out. My aunt was like, chill, calm down. No, okay. I was like, no, pero que esto? And so, like a week after that, I'm like, I'm not going back. That's too much for me. But my aunt really tried. She gave my mom a tape. Yo, this was crazy. I knew something. She gave my mom a tape. And it was a preaching, right? And I'll never forget, this stays in my mind, like, it's so clear. in the preaching, it started saying in Spanish, demonio, te tiene que ir, fuera, fuera, fuera. And when he started saying fuera, my heart, and I ran out the house. I was scared to death because I thought it was telling me. But that's the ataduras, those chains from that atmosphere is in me. They've recognized, they didn't want me to stay there. So I ran out the house and I asked Mom, why did that tape scare me? She's like, because there's things in you that need to be set free. But I didn't understand that. So I'm fast forward, I'm into the streets now and I'm start hanging with gangs. I'm getting kicked out of school. I got kicked out in 9th grade, I got kicked out. I was always in the ISS. Yo, you know what's crazy though? I never fought at school. I behaved at school. Like I would get in trouble, but I was not allowed. I was scared of my grandfather. And I got to go back a little bit for you to understand this. I grew up in a house where my grandfather was the nicest. At this age in his life, he had calmed down. You know, compared to what my mom and my uncles went through, when he would get drunk, he would chase them through the mountains in Puerto Rico with machetes. He's a whole deal. Like when he's bueno y sano, when he's sober, he was a good dude. People, man, he's awesome, bro. He was drunk, bro.
Become violent, very violent.
Violent. We had to run in the room and hide because like, quería meter machetazo to everybody in the house.
Wow.
So, you know, you learn at age, all this violence, I ain't scared to die. See, in casa this, I got this crazy, man.
All I got to do is do something wrong to my grandpa to die, so I'm not scared.
Yo, and he was real good, but he was violent. He did a lot of jail time. My grandma told me stories of people he killed in Puerto Rico. I seen him, you know, here. He caught when I was young too. He was only like, he was 50 something and stabbed somebody from stomach to stomach and the person didn't die.
Your grandpa?
Yes, and he got away with it. They gave him self-defense because he knew the people, whatever not. You know, and it was crazy because I always feel, even to this day, I lived a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like in school, that's why a lot of people later on, when they saw me, that was how deep I was into the streets. A lot of people like, man, but this was that cool guy, and you know, you was so quiet in school, and I mean, you didn't get in trouble because my dad would threaten me. Like, you're gonna fight, you gotta fight here in the neighborhood. Don't be fighting in school. You wait till after school and take it off. So every time if I want to fight, like, you go meet me on my block. I'm not fighting in school because I'm not.
And Grandpa's gonna be the referee.
Yeah, he was cool with that. That's the crazy part. And then he taught me, like, he was really serious. He taught us, like, you know, I learned stuff like how to kill chickens with my bare hands at a young age, cut their head off, and all that crazy stuff that played into you later on. That, you know, you're not fear of blood or a whole bunch of stuff. But so now 14, 15, I'm hustling. I'm all in. I don't want school. I want to get rich. I start smoking weed. I get kicked out in 9th grade. I try to get back in, so they let me back in, but I can't go to regular public school. I go to Burley's. I don't like Burley's. But at this time, you know, I look back. I look at the pictures. I wish there was a way to show you, man. I weigh like $125, $130, 15, 16. And I saw I was man. I was grown. You couldn't tell me. I had my own money. But when I look at the pictures, I'm like, dang, I meto una bofetada. I'll go flying. But at that mind, I didn't care. I really, for real, I had something in me that I really didn't care. Like, I wanted to prove. My friends around 14, this is where it gets bad. And you open up these doors. When you start smoking, using drugs, you open doors to the enemy. And you start getting influenced while you're high. So now the music, the culture, the environment. My friend steals his stepfather's gun. I shoot my gun for the first time at like 14. And I liked the way it felt. So then, fast forward a couple months, we break into a house. They break into a house. They call me. Yo, they got guns over here. I don't believe in breaking in, but when they say guns, I want guns. So I broke over there. I went in. We took shotguns, this and that. And I'm running down the street like blocks. I got like 2 rifles and a shotgun and a bow and arrow. Yo, in the hood where it's hot. I still don't know how no police pulled me over. I ran from all the way, like, it was a good 15-minute run that I had to run for a while through the hottest streets, drug areas at that time, and nothing. Unless they thought I had a toy. I can't even remember how I got away. But a year later, people start getting locked up for that. So now at 15, going on 16, I gave my first charge for that. And I'm in the system. And today is what? The 31st, right? Of 2025, and I'm still in the system. I still got 6 more years of federal parole to finish, walk off. I walked off 9, but we'll get into that. I didn't go to jail. I hanged out on Howard and Christian in Green Street. Anybody knows that's from Lancaster and grew up in the early 90s. Those were very, very bad streets. Howard and Christian and Green and Christian. It was, it was the crack era. Every little poor kid, that was his way out to get rich. You sell crack, you're on the block. I started hanging out. First, I was with Mad Circle. And then something happened. I got into a fight with my own friends. And I stopped hanging with them. And I met these guys a crew named TLF, the Little Family. And I started hanging with them. And then everything got serious. Because these dudes did not play. Everything was you fight or you shoot. That's it. So now I'm into this world. And and it's crazy because there's sometimes, when you're under the influence, I would do these things and then I would go home and be scared, be like, dang, why did I do that, man? But me, I feel like a lot of times when I was under the influence, I gave room to those spirits to take control of me, right? And then I'll say around in 1993 is when things really got bad. Started shooting at people. I'm still only messing with weed at this time and drinking. But I finally got kicked out completely out of school. I'm about to turn 17. And I get arrested. I get arrested around October. We got pulled over. We had a crack rental. There was a crack rental. We get pulled over. Take us to Barnes Hall, juvenile facility. I had to sit there for like 30 days. But here's the good thing. Even though I went to jail, there was something good. Guess what happened there for the first time?
You heard about God?
I read the Bible.
Oh, yeah, because you heard about God before, but you finally read the Bible.
I read the Bible for the first time in 93 in Barnes Hall. And let me tell you that thing, I'm a person that always liked to read. That thing blew my mind. So I'm asking all type of questions. And I'll never forget there was this kid named Josh Green that was there. And his mom at that time was trying to serve the Lord. And she started explaining stuff like, yo, what's fornication? And because I would ask her, hey, she's like, you have sex? I was like, oh, my God, I'm a fornicator. Oh, God. And she told us about masturbation. She was real with us. But little did she know, she impacted me because I would think about that stuff. Now I'm conscious. The Bible says that, once you know it, you can't.
Yeah, you're free of the judgment until you have the knowledge.
Until you know knowledge. Now you know what's good and what's not. So now I'm like, man. But, I didn't learn. I get out like a month, right before Thanksgiving, there you go. The people, because they reported the rental stolen. And they found some weed in the car. And the crazy thing is, right before that, we just had, the crazy thing is, God been in my life so much stuff. He saved me from so many things. And right there's when it starts to begin, because right before we get put over, we're only 17. We had 2 guns in the car, a regular handgun, and we had a Tech 9 in the car. We dropped that off. Just after we dropped it off, we get pulled over. And I still didn't listen. We went to jail. I did a month. I'm reading the Bible. I'm praying. And I learned this little trick. To me, it was a trick. Oh, if I pray to God, he'll get me out of a situation. So I get home. The people don't show up who said we stole the car, so the charges get dropped. We all get released, except my friend that was on the run. He was on house arrest. He got caught because he was on the run. I I get out, first day, I go right back to the block. All that Bible stuff I read went right out the window. I'm back in jail a month later, bro. This time for a shooting charge. I'm 17. I'm facing being certified and as an adult. So what do? I say, it worked for me last time. I asked God to help me get out of here, so I read the Bible again. And this time I'm thinking I'm a preacher already. Yo, this doctor, I'm telling you, but I really, the Bible fascinated me. I loved it. There were some things, the stories, and it just blew my mind, but it was only when I was in jail that they did that to me. So I'm fighting for this case, and I'm asking God, listen, if you don't let them certify me, I'll serve you and whatever not. So we go to court and I don't get certified. So I'm like, yeah, I don't gotta do 5 years or go be an adult. I get sentenced, I get a trial, I get found guilty. Really, when I really didn't do the shooting. I was involved to a certain degree, but whatever, the court system, that's a whole different story. I get found guilty. I get sentenced to an indefinite sentence. I'm supposed to stay at least, so indefinite sentence means I could have stayed 3 months or I could have stayed till I was 21. So I grab the Bible, I hold on to God, I get to a good placement. It's a maximum security, but I land on the right block. I'm reading the Bible, I'm thinking this got me out of it last time, and here I'm arguing with God. Little did you know that place was a blessing. Yo, and you know that everything that the enemy intends for evil, God uses for good.
Yeah.
But it only was for those who submit and love, who love God, right? But I was trying to always use God as an escape, or thought he was my genie, right? So now, I know this place, God let me fall into it because he wanted to do something with me, right? I'm learning. I got my GED in there. I was only there a couple months. I got my GED, passed it. And they signed me up for mechanics class. And now I'm getting signed up for college. But I'm complaining. I'm arguing with God. You don't love me. Get me out of here. God, why? You know this. And you're just arguing. Even though I'm going, and this lady, they take me from the secure side to the open side. There's this old lady, man. I never forget her. She takes me on a pass. Because my family lives far. I'm like 6 hours away. I'm 6 hours away. And I'm in Newcastle security. And I only got one visit there. And that was the day before my 18th birthday. So guess what happens? I'm here arguing with staff because they're supposed to let my girlfriend come see me, right? At that time, who was my girlfriend? And then they reject my visit. That she can't come. I started wilding out. So they try to lock me in my cell, and I'm fighting with them. And I have my hand like this. And then another guy, another inmate thought that we were playing. So he helps to push. And by that time, I'm like, yo, chill, I'll stop. Because I couldn't, I'm strong and working out, but it's been like 10 minutes already. Like, yo, I'm done, all right, I'll never, yo, and they didn't listen. I took my foot off and it slammed the door on my thumb and it chopped my thumb off. And I'm like, I thought it was just, hurting because you don't really feel it. Until I feel like the blood squirt my face. And I'm like, and I look, and I'm like, oh, shoot. And I start screaming, stab. They're like, shut up, Vargas. You're not getting out your cell. Until my cellie starts screaming, no, his finger is gone. And so they come and they take me to the hospital. They reattach my thumb. That's why it looks different. But from this, I get to go home now. As long as I don't sue. I was so thirsty to go back to the streets. I was like, yeah, I'll sign. Come. This is in July. By the paperwork and all that get done, it's October now. I finally get you going home. Everything went through. Everything got approved. And I was like, yeah. I'm thinking this works. Is praying to God and getting out of situations. But little I know, I messed up for not trusting God, bro. I could have went to, listen, I could have came out with a mechanics degree and a college degree out of there. And who knows how on fire. So I get released. This is 94. I'm in there. I was in there from January to October. Bro, when I tell you, bloody the same, I don't know how I'm reading the Bible so much and that's so, but these traumas, these chains, these generational curses that I don't understand are still there because I'm just using God as a genie. So in 94, I'm 18 now. I went in 17, come out 18. The same day I get released, I come out with this. You know, I got little muscles now. Before I was skinny, now I got weight. I come out, release. I see a bunch of new faces in my neighborhood on Howard, and I meet my sister's boyfriend at that time, and I'm like, yo, who's this? He big drug dealer. He puts me on. Listen, I don't want you doing nothing, and I start making money like I would not understand. But I'm telling you, the same day I got released, I was right back at it, selling drugs. I asked for a gun. I just came home for that, and I asked for a gun, and oh my God, so much stuff happened. Like stuff that I can't even talk about, but it just a whole world. It was just so much stuff that I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna do life. I'm home October. What is it? I told you October, right? 94. I didn't even last a year out in jail. But guess what happens? I try to catch my sister. I'm selling crack, right? This is what we did on Howard and Christian or Green and Christian. I'm smoking weed now, try PCP. And that takes me to another frame.
Yeah, that's a different game there.
When I'm telling you, you smoke that, and now I'm thinking I'm Billy the Kid. I want to shoot at everything. Sometimes some of my friends, I would play around, pull the gun out, load it, put it in their face. Like, you know, there's a basement, a bunch of young dudes. I'm talking about like 15, 20 of us, and all of us got guns. There's drugs. Mi mamá era cahuete. It was crazy. Like, we was really like, yo, each time I think about it, I know it's the mercy. I don't know how none of us didn't, you know, there's some of us that did die, but not at that time. But we did jail time, but that nobody got life except one person. Then I did heroin. And it wasn't, I didn't do heroin because I wanted to. It was an accident. I wanted to catch my stepsisters to see if she did drugs, like if she did coke, right? So one day I'm selling, somebody gives me, I give them credit and they give me a bag of dope. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna catch her. So open the bag, I put a line on the table and I tried it like, yo, come in, try this. I got some good coke. And I got the straw in my hand, so I'm on the other side of the table. She's already in front of it. So as I'm trying to walk to her to give her the straw to see if she'll try it, she pulls one out and takes a little bit. And I'm like, no. And oh my God, what was that for? She turned it around because I was ready to like, oh, see, I knew you did that stuff. And I'm ready to smack her. She's like, oh, you big and bad and you're scared and you make me do a drug that you're scared to do. And she kept on with that because she knew I hated being said I was scared. So next you know, I was like, I ain't scared of nothing. And I did all of it. And it was the first time I did heroin. And I walked, we went and bought some weed. It's vivid in my mind. I came back, and on the way back, my nose was running. I tried to clear my nose out, and I started throwing up, and I'm high out my mind. I never tried it again, but weeks. That stuff, it was playing like, maybe you should try a little bit. This and that, it did feel good. Well, you're not a drug addict. And I started little by little, here and there. But I didn't know. So now I started taking some. Didn't know I had a drug addiction or whatever. Long story short, winter passes. Winter comes. I had my first near-death experience. The first snowfall of 94. Me and my friends were coming out of this place called Umbrella Works. We were at this girl's house. It's like 2 in the morning. I'm smoking weed, doing a little dope, PCP. I'm like in another world, bro. I'm 18. So we're gonna walk around the corner to go get some Phillies. We like, nothing can happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. Bloody, that was the worst thing I could have ever said. We walking down when we get in front of the McDonald's, a big group of guys come around. No cars can drive because the snow's like this high. It was the first snowfall, it was a lot. And I'm so high, I think I got a gun on me, and I don't. And then when we passed the guys, I got this bad feeling. And I just hear something. When I turn around, I see these dudes got guns and pulling, and I'm trying to reach, thinking, and I get hit with a gun. Bang. And then from there, we get face down. My one friend takes off because he had his brother's chain on. It was like a $15,000 chain on. He runs. But this dude is telling me to give me my money. I didn't want to give it up. Nah, kill me. I ain't giving you nothing. Throws me on the floor, and he puts the gun to me, man. And I swear, for the first time, is when I hear that saying, you know how he says, your light flashes before you like a movie. It really did. And I was like, then I got scared. I was like, oh, I'm going to die for being tough. And then at that moment, God always shows up. I heard a sound that I hated all my life, but I loved it at that moment. I hear the brakes of the cop cars. Their brakes were different back then. So I pop my head up. He runs. The guy runs off. And I'm like, yeah. And I run. Boom, because I got weed on me. So I got to put it in my pants and I run. Police stop us, whatever not. I didn't learn my lesson. They let us go. This is in 94. A bunch of shooting stuff happens. In 95 of March, a fight breaks out. There's a guy, I had shot at some guy. I didn't get to hit him, but this guy finds beef with somebody else. And they beat him up that day. That guy comes to the block and tries to beat the boy up. And now he has a gun, but he's so high on dope that he cocked it again and put it on the guy's chest. But the gun jammed. He couldn't kill him. So then, my other friend is in the middle. Somebody I grew up with as a child. So I get in the middle, like, yo, chill, stop, you bugging. There's a lot of people, witnesses. I'm trying to stop, something bad from happening. But the guy's, he's high on his mind. He's like, if you don't get out my way, I'm gonna shoot you too. I'm like, I'm trying to, listen, there's witnesses here, stop. And then the other 2 guys are still there talking trash. I'm like, I'm not getting shot, y'all better leave. So I try to calm them down, and then they get it, like, this is for real. So my man, they start taking off, and the guy shoots at them. And somebody gets killed. It wasn't even the guys he shot at. To this day, we don't know because we heard other shots. We always thought somebody else might have killed, but the next day, the detectives are coming, looking, asking questions, and then my mom calls me, where you at? They came here asking for you. Me, for what? Well, they said you was there, you was involved. No, I wasn't. Like, I was just trying to help. Next you know, long story short, bloody, I'm about to get charged with murder for something I didn't do. My sister finds them guys that I ayudé, and they end up, letting them know I hadn't, I was just trying to stop the situation so I don't get charged with murder. But I was already in jail for crack, so I did a year. And there again, I'm reading the Bible, but this time I'm not trying to play church. I like to read in the Bible. I come home after a year. This is in the beginning of 96, I got to do house arrest. But in this whole time now, from 94, for the first time I got locked up, to 95, there's a couple people that grew up with that got killed. And I just was like, I was in shock. So I was like, I couldn't understand it. There's this friend of mine, his name was Daryl. I get locked up in 95, and I remember 3 days later, a dude that I always walk to the store with, like, we smoke, and I remember taking a shower, and somebody calls me, like, yo, call home. And I call home. And my mom is screaming her head off. I'm like, oh, shoot, what happened? She's like, Daryl. I'm like, what happened? She's like, he was just here eating, oh my God. So finally, my sister gets on, she's crying, but at least I can understand her. And one of my close friends that I was real close with at that time, a dude that met like me, like we would see each other, say hi, and we felt like we didn't like each other, but man, I ended up loving this dude, bro. Real good heart, but his brother was wild, so he used to get a lot of beef. His brother's name was D-Wop, and my sister tells me, oh, they killed Daryl. They shot him like mad times right at the corner store. I was like, what? And now that I look back, every time that I went to jail, either somebody died that I knew or
Somebody from your circle.
from my circle or somebody that I dealt with. You know what I mean? Even if not the close circle, but somebody that might have did business with or I chilled with here and there, you know, that I would chill on the regular with, either would die or go to jail for something crazy. And I was like, I didn't see that till later. So I get out, right? I do the year. I'm right back at it. I met my baby's mom in 96. You know, I'm wilding out still. Going to jail, in and out. Like I said, I went to jail 93, 94, 95. I was in there for like a month in 96 for a PV. 97, I go back. I do 11 months. I'm with my baby mom now. We don't have a kid yet. I come home and I get bad on drugs, bro. Like, my conscience is killing me. I'm stressed out. There's a lot of things playing in my mind, like, yo, I need to change. Because somebody came to evangelize. You know how I don't know in your neighborhood today, but I don't know why is it everywhere they sell drugs is where the Christians come.
That's because the Bible says that where there's donde abunda la maldad, sobreabunda la gracia. Where there's abundance of evil, there's overabundance of grace. So of course we're gonna go to the neighborhood. That's where we go.
And then it was always like the Mennonites. They were back then in the 90s, and I'll never forget that they hit me. I always respected them. My friends not so much, but I remember around 97, I was doing bad, and this lady came and she was like, and this guy, you know, it was a bunch of them, but I'll never remember when they put their hand on me, asked this question that it tore me up. It said, if you was to die tonight, where would your soul go? And that question scared me. She said, would you go to heaven or hell? So I'm wondering, God, I know you're real, but I need you to show yourself to me. I don't know you. You know, I know this is what my grandma taught me and right, but I've read stuff, you know, I've studied Hindu, Muslim. Oh, so what is the truth? What is the truth? So, you know, I've tried this, you know, read the Bible, play church or whatever, but it still hasn't hit me. So 98 comes, I'm bad. I'm really bad on heroin. I'm at this point, I can't even hustle much. You know, I never shot up. And I lied to myself because you would see me dress nice, and a lot of people would think it's just from me smoking weed and popping pills. But no, I'm sniffing a lot of heroin. And most of the money that I'm making is to the point where I started robbing, stuck people up, or I would burn connections with people. And I'm thinking, like, what's this coming to? Now I find out my baby mom's pregnant with my first kid on the way. And I was like, no, Lord, I'm going to die here. I got a kid. I can't leave her fatherless. So I start praying. I'm like, God, I know I've called you to help me time and time again. Every time I go to jail, Lord, get me out of this. I'm going to serve you. But as soon as I walk out them doors, I forget about him. I leave him in my cell. I leave him in the prison. But now I got a kid coming. I'm like, yo, you know, and I'm stressed out. But I ain't going to lie. I done burned people, rob people. I'm at that point where I'm like, I'm just going to go all out. If police stop me, I'm going to shoot it out with them. I'm going to kill people I got beef with. I'm just going to go all out in the blaze of glory. Because I had this bad habit of watching Scarface every day before I left the house. Every day. So I'm thinking I'm Tony Montana for real.
I laugh because I was a fan of that too. That and Carlitos Way. I was a fan of those two movies. Like I don't know, like soon you're gonna hear about it because something's coming around there. But like I shared my testimony, dude. Like I had an inclination for the bad stuff. So all my movies was mafia movies,
Yeah,
Carlito's
man.
Way, all those crazy movies. And then I wanted to leave the movie. I wanted to be like them.
Yeah, no, I wanted to, bro. I'm telling you.
They all die at the end, you know.
Yeah, that's what people don't get. It seems, it's sin feels good for the moment, but what comes after it never did. It never did. I was like, yo, this gotta stop. So I remember I prayed a prayer. I said, God, I want to know you, man. Why'd you bring me into this world if you're gonna let me go out like this? What kind of God are you? Because at this time I've survived so much that I'm about to turn 22, but already, been in jail for shooting, drugs, almost got charged with murder. I got a friend that got killed, friends that have killed people. My best friend is doing 21 years in jail. Somebody used to hang with, I caught the first shooting charge with him. But luckily we were separated. If not, I'd probably be done the 21 years with him. My other cousin didn't listen. He caught a body. Now he's doing 20 to 40.
Yeah, so you was around for everything that you had tell us, because we're about to start turning this testimony around, but everything that you had tell us so far. The environment where you grew up, an environment where you was, living your life, it was, I would say 90% of the people don't live like that. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because, and I wanna say something because you said something at the beginning. Remember when you said that you started reading the Bible?
Yeah.
And you said that, que la Biblia dice que todo obra para bien para aquellos que aman a Cristo Jesús, right?
Yep.
You said it in English, I've said it in Spanish. But the last part of that verse says, for those that according to God's purpose have been called. So even though you wasn't there and you're thinking, I'm just taking advantage, you were called, but you didn't know yet.
Yeah.
So the things that were happening, they were not coincidence. And that's the thing. As humans, we're like, I was playing with God. Man, then nobody can play God.
Yeah.
He allowed you to think that you was playing him, but all this was part of his perfect and excellent plan that he had for your life, because the Bible says that it says it like that, okay, everything works for good to those that love Jesus Christ, but also it says those that according to his plan have been called, according to his purpose. So to this point, you don't know that. So with that being said, I want you to turn the testimony around and let's talk about, because I know that from what you're telling me now, there's probably 2 more hours of your testimony yet.
No, it's gonna change it. I'm gonna get to the point.
Let's start turning around how you found your way to Christ. So let's start.
All right. So right there, that prayer where I told you, I asked him, why you bring me into this world like this? I need you to get me out of here. I want to change. Boom. That same week, guess who I meet? I really got to know that I had interaction with him, but I didn't really know who he was. My father.
The real father.
My biological father. I went to his house like twice. That's it. As a kid. And I missed my sisters and brothers from that side, And here he comes. He's serving God. And he comes preaching me. And I'm so mad. Like, man, get out my face with this Jesus stuff. Now you want to come talk to me and you love me. Jesus loves me. But it did. Something burned, right? And then he's like, and he left. He talked for a little bit and he left. He's like, I just want to, if you need me, I want to show you what God changed my life, this and that. You don't know my story, but I've been through a lot. So I do this prayer about in that same week. After I do this prayer too, that happened. And then like a week later, there's a knock on my door. Like at 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. And I'm thinking it's the police because I'm on the run. I got mad charges. I'm on the run. So I'm scared to open the door. Like, dang. I'm thinking about running out the back. But like, if I go out the back, if it's them, they're going to be back there too. So I say,
all over the block. Yeah.
I said, I'm just going to open the door. So when I opened, because he said it was Federal Express, I think it was called back then.
FedEx or something.
FedEx. No, it was Federal Express or something.
Right.
But it was like FedEx where they bring an envelope, they deliver stuff. So I opened, they set me up. I opened, it really was. So I opened the envelope, and I see like a train ticket or a plane ticket. I thought it was a plane ticket though. And I open it, and then the tickets fall out, but there's a letter, and it's a letter from my dad. He said, you asked God to get you out of here, to change you if he was real. Well, here's the ticket. If you want to know God, get on this train. God's waiting for you. And I was like, how in the world would he know that? And I'm curious now. I know enough to know, yo, God gotta be real.
I get excited now. I'm getting very excited. I'm getting very excited now. Because that's it. That's it. Go ahead.
So I get on the train. I told my baby mom, yo, I'm out of here. I'll send for you. Me fui. I'm waiting. I'm still breaking habit from heroin.
So hold on. But what would that train taking you?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
All right.
It's a 21-hour train ride. So my whole day, my mind is thinking I'm excited. I get to Milwaukee. My dad picks me up, takes me home. But I meet my little brother, and I find out he smokes weed. So I'm like, oh, I want to smoke some weed with him, right? But look at how the Bible says that you have to be, I forget how to say, I don't even remember this verse in Spanish. Manso como una paloma, pero astuto como serpiente.
Manso como paloma, astuto como serpiente.
Humble like a dove, but wise like a serpent or whatever, something like that. I knew it goes something like that. So my little sisters are trying to get me to church. And I'm like, nah, just my first day here. Let me chill. I'm not trying to go. I never forget, this is October 1998. And then they hit me. They hit me with the one, but you're so cute. We want to show our friends how cute our brother is. I was like, oh, word? Hold on, don't say less. Let me go take a shower and get dressed. You know what I mean? So I get dressed and I go to church, and here I am. I'm going to Arca de Salvación, Iglesia Pentecostal MAE in Greenfield. I'll never forget Greenfield, 14th Street on Greenfield, the 1400 block, Greenfield in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There's a kid named Tyson preaching. Thought this was a grown man though. I'm 22 and I ain't got no facial hair. He's like 17 with a big old beard. You know what I mean? He's a pretty tall kid, about his complexion, and he's preaching, right? You know, the whole service good. Now it's his turn to preach. Why when these kids start preaching, I feel like he's talking. I'm looking at my dad like, everything he's saying is about my life.
Like,
what did you tell him?
My business. Yeah,
you over here bonchichando, telling everything, and I'm mad now. Like, I want to get up and leave or cut somebody out. Like, I'm ready to fight. But then the more that kid talks, I feel like I want to cry, and I'm like, what's going on? Yo, Bloody, before I know it, when the message was over, I didn't even know how or why I'm in the front crying. And next you know, yo, I'm telling you, dude, that was hard. My heart was hard. I wanted Jesus so bad, and I accepted him. And it felt like I knew, listen, for years I wondered some stuff like, could this be real? But yo, Bloody, I never felt a joy and a relief in my life like I did that day. Mm-mm. I felt like I was different. Something in me changed. Yo, I was so excited that I went home and called. Yo, I got Jesus now. Yo, I'm free. I ain't got to go. I ain't got to work. And my family, like, what? What? ¿Qué tú te metiste? What you on? I'm like, no, for real. Like, we're not trying to hear that. So I was heartbroken. I call my baby. So now I call my baby. Yo, I got Jesus. Oh, my God. What are you talking about? No, for real. I'm going to be a good father to my kid. Long story short. She shows up. I told her, give me time to get a job. She shows up in Milwaukee a week later without nobody's permission. She's like, no, you're not leaving me over here. And, you know, my stepson, and she was pregnant. She's about to give birth. So she comes over here. We're going to church. Yo, and then off the gate, you think I'm wild. Esa más loca. My baby, man. Yo, she smacks me in church while I'm getting prayed for. And I'll never forget that the pastor was like, ella tiene un demonio. You gotta get rid of her. And yo, listen, you wanna hear something funny?
She chose the wrong place to smack you.
Yeah, right? But listen, I was like, I know she got a demon. Sácaselo, please. Sácaselo. I don't wanna leave her. Just take the demon out of her. So it was crazy though, because you know, I wanted God, but there was some things I didn't know. I had the experience for myself. You know, we got our own place. My daughter was born in there. Long story short, I'm serving God for like a year. No, 8 months now. No, it was close to a year. But I had a big argument. We both were broken people, right? She
Yes.
don't know God. She didn't have the experience that I had. And I was trying to force God on her, right? And but it got to a point one day I came home from work and I'm like, listen, I can't. I'm living in fornication. You're not respecting. I want to honor God. So I made her get on the train. A la mala. Nah, and she was crying, no. And but I put her and the two kids on the train and sent them back to Lancaster. When you respect me and you ready to serve God, call me. Not knowing, if she's watching, not knowing the mistake that I did. Yeah, maybe it wasn't meant for us to be together, but what I did made her feel like I picked God over her and my kids. You know what I mean? And ever since that, she struggled to serve God. Now she's coming back finally. But I didn't get it. God didn't show me till I did my 8 years in prison. You know how bad I really hurt her by doing that. And because a lot of times we love people and we try to force God on them. Listen, you can't make nobody serve God. You can't change nobody. All you can do is be the best example to Christ. And I've learned that the hard way. I mean, you got to pray. And like it says one verse that impacts me, even though it speaks to women, it's in First Peter chapter 3, where it says, woman, without a word, if you have an unbelieving spouse, without your word, but with your testimony, win them over for Christ. Because it's not about what you speak, it's what you live in. Because you could talk real pretty.
The Bible says, if you have faith, show me your do's.
Yeah. And faith without works is dead. You know what I
Show me your
mean?
work. Show me your work. If you got faith, show me your work.
So I'm serving God now for a while, Bloody. She leaves, I get baptized, I get real close to my pastor, I get to preach for the first time. Then I get to preach outside in the street. And I'm like, yo. Then he's like, we're going to send, he takes me to a first pastor's conferencia conference. I meet Harry Maldonado. I'm starting to meet these people, Randy Island, these big, people who at
Preachers,
that
yeah.
time were men of God. And he's like, listen, we're gonna go Santo Domingo, we're going to go Puerto Rico, and I'm going to take you, you're going to preach over there. But I'm single. I'm still stressing, crying over my baby mom.
I got one question. Are you still in the run?
No.
You wasn't in the run anymore?
No.
No?
No, I'm good.
All
We'll
right.
get to that in a little bit.
I thought you was. All
No.
right. I gotta ask.
No,
That's my job here. Ask questions.
no.
And I haven't been asking too much lately. I'm letting you go. Go ahead.
No, so I'm serving God, but I'm conflicted. Because even though I did the action, I sent her away, now I'm blaming God why he took my family away from me.
Yeah, we got a tendency to do that. Mm-hmm.
But she don't want nothing to do with me. If you want me, come back over here, right? Pero, so I'm lonely, I'm stressing, now I'm losing focus. Well, God, I need a wife. I can't live by myself. He's now estoy viendo loco trying to find which is the wife for me. But I end up, now I'm stressing and no estoy orando like I should. And it's those little things that you think
That's spiritually slacking.
slacking, bro. And long story short, I'm trying to testify to a girl, win her, bring her to Christ. And the least way that I expected, I slip and fall. Fornicated. And I felt so hurt. I went and I told my pastor. And my pastor's crying, listen, I'm going to have to sit you down for a little bit. But you're a man of God. I still believe in your calling, but I felt so dirty and ashamed, right? And I still don't understand. It took me a long time to understand God's grace. So I leave. And I leave, and my pastor was like, he was trying to remind me because God spoke to me. But these things happen because while I'm serving, before then we go back a little, before I backslid, right? God spoke to me, Lolly. I'm on the run back then. Remember I told you I was on the run? God tells me, go and turn yourself in. Take a 2-week vacation and go turn yourself in. I'm going to drop all your charges. But I want you to go in there and tell them, listen, that I sent you to turn yourself in. And at the same way I can change your life and make all your records go away, I could do it with them if they give their life to me too. Because there's nothing impossible for me. So I speak to my pastor. No, que eso puede ser el diablo and setting you up.
Your pastor.
Yeah, be sure because you're a young Christian. But man, I used to pray, fast, everything. I didn't do it. Right? And God showed me some other things. I'm not gonna get into that. But this is the one. Sometimes there's things that God reveals that's just between you and him.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Yeah. It's inside of your relationship with him.
Some things you can't take to other people. It's entre to you. God told you, you know who's God. Be obedient. But my crazy that may sound, because you don't know the consequences. I didn't do it, Bloody. Long story short, me aparto. I come back to Lancaster about 2001. So I'm from 98 to 2001 in Milwaukee. I come back over here. Bro, I didn't even last. I wasn't even here in even 3 months and all hell broke loose. I stabbed somebody, almost killed somebody. They almost killed me at gunpoint again. It's just crazy. And I'm like, and God is protecting me and my disobedience and backsliding, right? And then 3 days after I stabbed this dude, I go to jail for some weed. I'm in the prison. This is 2001, around March. And I'm only in jail 3 days, and they come in my cell at 6 in the morning. Vargas, you got court. It's impossible. I only been here 3 days. It takes a month to go to preliminary. We don't know. You got to go to big courthouse. I was like, big courthouse? So I go, and then when I get downstairs, you're going for a PV. I'm like, PV? All right, whatever. I go to the court. I'm like, damn, they're going to judge. Yo, the people are coming. They're going to, the judge is hitting everybody hard. My turn comes. Hey, Mr. Vargas, where you been all these years? I was in Milwaukee. I told my story. He said, you know what I'm going to do? You must have been staying out of trouble for 3.5 years. We don't see you. Time served. Get out of here. I was like, I look at my lawyer like, what he say? Yo, on the way back, a verse comes to my mind in the sheriff's car, and I start crying, and people be like, yo, you good? You know what the verse was, Bloody? He said, aunque nosotros somos infiel, Dios sigue siendo fiel porque no puede negarse el mismo. Mm-hmm. That even though we are unfaithful, God remains faithful because he cannot deny himself. And he reminds me, remember when I told you to go turn yourself in? That I would take all your charges away? Though you weren't faithful, I'm going to show you I still am. So when I get back, bro, I'm crying uncontrollably. I get back to the prison. Man, I've been there a couple of times already. They know me. What's up, Vargas? Yo, what's keeping me in prison? So he goes in the computer. He said, you don't got no charges except that weed charge. You can bail out right now. I said, what? What about the simple assault, the aggravated assault, domestic violence, my other PV? Listen, we don't know what you're talking about. You only shows the weed charge. You need $350 to get out. That's it. And I remember what God told me. Oh, bro, I was freaked out, bloody. I freaked out. I was like, but with all that, I was always hard-headed. I wrestled with God so much. So I get out, and I'm back to my dumb stuff again. My mom dies on me. And I'm doing dope so bad, bro. I'm making money, but I'm on heroin so bad. And I meet my wife. And she's a young girl. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing this. I've been single for like 4 years. And I told God, like, the day I broke out, I prophesied. And exactly I prophesied, I see me. First, I'm not having kids again until I get married. But I'm only getting married to somebody who, her first and only kids would be to me, and she's gonna be with me till the day I die. She's gonna be this, that. Yo, it was her, and I didn't. Yo, and then I met her, and I got locked up again for a couple of months. And then there I told her cousin, that's gonna be my wife. When I get out, I'm bugging. I'm gonna do something stupid. She runs to the church, to my sister's church, and I follow. Something tells me she's there. I don't know why, but I go. Y hay there's an evangelist from Gigi Avila's group. at my sister's church that they preaching. Yo, I go into church high. I wanted to beat up at that time my girlfriend, but my wife, she becomes my wife, right? And I'm sitting there, and God speaks to me again, bro. All of a sudden, the guy that's preaching, stop, stop, stop. I got a message for somebody here. And I'm thinking, oh, shoot. I take my hat off and I'm trying to get out the chair. I'm ready to get up to leave. He had beat out. He points in our direction. You come up here. I was like, oh, no. Pequeño vine. Why I came here? And the couple next to us starts walking up. But he had turned his back, like praying again. So when I'm like, good. It's not me. I'm good. And he turned, no, I can't con la gojita. The one with the hat. Come here. I was like, oh, Jesus. Yo, this man speaks over. He says, listen, I know you've been running from God, whatever. Then he said, church, God has a purpose. They're going to suffer a lot. He tells me and my wife. He said, look at that. So he told my wife, look at him. That's going to be your husband, and that's going to be your pastor. This is 2003. And then he says, look at her, that's going to be your wife, y tu ayuda en el ministerio, your helper in the ministry. And he starts to pray for us. And me reconcilié, my wife accepts Christ for the first time. And we doing good, bro. I'm doing good for at least 2 years, almost 2 years. And again, start slacking, bro. Because I don't feel God is listening to me. I backslide. I'm out in the streets again. I don't go to jail, but I'm ripping and running, and I overdose in 2006. I overdosed for the first time in my life for crack and heroin. I never did crack the last 2 weeks of my addiction. I did crack. And if my wife didn't get to the hospital in the time that she got me there, the doctor said my heart would explode, ruptured. Because you know what's the crazy thing? When I'm blacking out, like now I see nothing but lights, I hear demons laughing at me. Oh, now you want to pray for Jesus. Ha, ha, ha. Go into the light. Go into the light. So long story short, after I snap out of it and I'm better, I wake up. Yo, what happened? She said, I know you're good. The doctor said this. I'm like, why was the doctors laughing? And she said, there was nobody in the room. I like, yo, they were laughing and making fun of me because I was talking to Jesus. Nope. She said, there was nobody. So now I stopped drugs completely, Blali. I get back right with God. I'm serving, and God speaks to me like, yo, you got to get it together. I've been giving you chance after chance, right? I wasn't really feeling it. I leave the church again. I overdosed again 2 months later. After I stopped. But it wasn't from doing drugs. It's the medication the doctor gave me. And me not listening to God. Yo, 3 times God spoke to me that day. First, I put the radio on. There's a message saying, you don't need medication. You just need Jesus to heal you. This is one preacher. I turn on a TV later on the day. Same word for word, a message. You don't need medication. You need Jesus to heal you. And I'm like, man. Because at this time, it's been 2 months I've been breaking habit and I can't sleep. I've been up like the last 3 days without no sleep. Like, I'm starting to get delusional. I call my doctor, they prescribe me something else. And I remember I get to the pharmacist, don't try this. This is, you gotta be careful with this medication, don't overtake it because it could kill you, whatever. And I'm like, why is he telling me this? And I remember because then my dad, when I called my dad, I got to get his meds. I'm still breaking habit. My dad said the same thing. You don't need medication. You need Jesus to heal you. That's all you need. But I ain't listening. And the pharmacist, I get home. Since I've been up 3 days now without no sleep, you start hallucinating a little bit. So I'm thinking I didn't take the meds, and I took it like 4 times, bro. And I'm overdosing. And now I see these demons and stuff in the room. And all this stuff. They called the ambulance. Long story short, I almost died. They told my family that I was either going to die or be a vegetable. This own pastor came from the church that I backslid from. He came, they prayed for me. I wake up in the ICU with all these tubes on me. What happened? man, you almost died again. I was like, oh, man. And they're like, yo, you got to stop playing with God, man. Bloody, I didn't go back to church, bro. I went and started hustling. And that same pastor that prayed for me, right? When I was in the hospital, he said, así dice Señor. He says, God tells you either if you don't stop, you're going to go to jail or you're going to die. You choose. What you mean I choose? I said, well, God, I want to go to jail. I don't want to die. Yo. And then even though he told me this, he uses this friend of mine. Look at how God is. But in our ignorance, I had a friend of mine that was breaking habit. I brought him to my house. I got him off the drugs. Because, after I overdosed, I never did drugs again. I left and hustled, but I never did drugs ever again. I ain't touched crack, heroin, nothing. So it's been like, since 2006 that I haven't touched none of that? Almost 19 years. But my friend that I helped, he comes 2 weeks after I helped him get clean up. He comes back, yo, I'm right with God. I had a dream. They raided your house this way. Stop. God don't want you to go to jail. He's trying to give you a chance. Bro, I didn't listen to him. I'm like, man, you just was at my house breaking habit. Get out of here with that. Knowing that I know God and he can do whatever. He can use whoever. I don't listen, Bobby. 2 weeks later, exactly the way he said the dream, it happened. I go to jail.
For how long?
I went for 8. It gave me 9 years in the federal system. I did 8 out of the 9. I came home in 2016. Now check this. While I'm in jail, what I didn't want to do out here, God made me do in there. I'm translating. This is where I really start translating for the first time. Was in prison. When I get to New York, I meet some good brothers, man, and they lift me up. And bro, God kept my marriage together for the whole 8 years. My wife waited the whole 8 years. She used to travel New York weekly or every other week to come see me and bring my kids. She's serving God. She's on fire. But yeah, jail was jail, right? And then right before I'm getting out, I got church hurt because a lot of crazy stuff was going on in jail. We got a new chaplain, pastor, one of the pastors have left. And it's just a disorganized. Now they got guys who are homosexual preaching or singing. And me thinking I have this zeal for God, I get mad and so I go home in this weak state spiritually. So I come home, y me enfrío. I'm cold. I stop serving God for a little bit. And I mess up for a little bit when I'm home. And then God speaks to me. And God uses my pastor now, Hector Fisherman. I remember when I came home, he was like, yo, because, he used to be in a gang called TPR. Yo, you hear Todo Poderoso? TPR is now Todo Poderoso. They're serving God. I was like, yeah, right. Get out of my face. Then I hear about Nato. I know Nato, but Hector known by Hecky Heck. They weren't calling him that. They were calling him Fisherman. Like, who the heck is Fisherman? So one day I'm on Facebook, and I see Nato and him. And they're ministering. I was like, no, I know these guys. I sold drugs. You know what I'm saying? I remember a pastor being coked out drunk, and I used to serve him. But yo, I seen his face, how good. Like, I didn't even recognize him. Like, wow, look at what God can do. And suddenly, I want that, God. Do that with me, please. And I start praying to God, but I want to change. And he reaches out to me like a week later, out of nowhere, through Facebook. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I heard you was home. Yo, I was really sad when you went to jail, And I was so sad that I got cleaned up. I stopped doing drugs and I gave my life to God. I didn't have my connect no more. He just laughing, right? He was being wise. He making a joke about it, but he's being dead serious. And he invites me. I've been visiting church, so I said I'll never go to a Spanish church again because that was one of my things. I ain't messing with Spanish churches. And I go and he's in the Spanish church. And I was like, oh, man. But I stayed there. I love it. I haven't felt God's presence in a long time. I was crying. So I stayed there, me reconcilio, I stayed there. And I've been with him since. You know, there's been some stuff. I caught COVID, I almost died.
You've been walking with God all this time.
For 5 years. I had COVID in that time, almost died. In the hospital for mad days, having pneumonia, blood clot. Good, get out. And then, you know, our church we was at, something happened that we all split up. But, you know, in a good way, it was good because 5 churches have, from that church we said, salieron 5 ministries. So that was pretty cool. And then I was with Pastor Oscar. I was helping with this ministry that I was already helping. It's called Hope Ministries and Community Services, working with addicts. So I'm now got a job. I'm ministering. I work in a rehab. You know,
God's been good to you, man. God's been good. Let me tell you something. Testimony it's a little longer than what we normally get testimonies here, but I let you talk because I couldn't stop the testimony. Every time I'm like, maybe this is the moment where I'm like, nah. Everything, you know, and in the sense like, wow, bro, from la Biblia dice, ¿verdad? Que de lo vil y lo menospreciado escogió Dios para avergonzar a los sabios. And you really come from that, you know what I mean? From younger age, you know what I mean? And everything that happened to you, all I could keep hearing it was God. Because in the middle of the whole mess, always God was brought up. And I want to tell you that, you know, I go back to that Bible verse. You know what I mean? When you thought that you started playing with God, man, God just had decided that he was going to do in your life what he was going to do. And he's so amazing, man, that I have you here sitting down telling your testimony. And I thank you because the way you say your testimony, I like it because it's down to earth. And that's what I like, when people just tell your story and tell how God changed your story. You know what I mean?
I don't feel like you know, at times the enemy try to make me feel shame and stuff like that, but I need the people to know
people need to hear it, man.
No matter how messed up you are, how many times you mess up with God, God doesn't change, bro. Man, it changed, the world would change, but God remains the same. And if God, listen, people don't understand how great the mercy of God is and how patient he is. It doesn't matter how far gone you are.
Tell him right here, because this is your camera. We're almost finishing. So
it doesn't matter how far gone you are. The Bible says that God leaves the 99 to get the one.
Yes.
So I don't care if you strayed 100 times. If you're alive, then there's still hope for you.
Yes.
Man, because I could have messed it up as many times as I did with God. And if it wasn't for his love, I wouldn't be here. An addict, a gangbanger, a guy who turned his back on God so many times. But guess what? God will never turn his back on you. All you got to do is reach out, man. He's there.
Ahí lo tienen, mi gente. This is a loving conversation, man, because I love when people just exalting God's name through everything God has done in their life. I love it. So ahí lo tienen, mi gente. El testimonio de Luis Vargas. Suscríbase si no se ha suscrito, compártalo con alguien, active la campanita de las notificaciones. Déjenos su like, déjenos su comentario, ¿verdad? Déjenos saber qué usted piensa, ¿verdad? Del podcast, déjenos saber cómo está impactando su vida. Y de verdad los bendecimos. Te damos gracias, Luis, de verdad, brother. Gracias mil. Thank you so much. And God bless you guys. Nos vemos en la próxima, para adelante y para el cielo.